The final battle between the Autobots and Decepticons begins. What's up everyone, James here, and we are close to the end of this series. If you are new here, the G.I Joe versus the Transformers playlist is right below the like button. So we return where we last left off, with the new Decepticon army attacking Capital City and massacring the Autobots. Despite that, this opens with Optimus Prime saving who he can, where he can, and kicking Decepticon butt at the same time. It actually reminds me of the amazing opening of the Bumblebee movie, where we saw Optimus Prime demolishing the Decepticons during the war for Cybertron. In his inner monologue, he talks about how the war between the Autobots and Decepticons seems endless. It has followed them to every system, planet, and even through time itself. Just when he thought they could celebrate peace, the war begins again. He says that as the leader of the Autobots, I am the keeper of the matrix of leadership, which has given me the skills to lead others into war to save their freedom. It is a gift I did not want, but I will fight for those I care about and the freedom of all sentient life until I burn every last drop of energon. Optimus hops on Six-Shot and sees Piranacon about to attack this group of civilians. He forcibly steers Six-Shot right into Piranacon's face, taking him out, and lands right on top of Astro Train, crushing him, and then finishes him off. Optimus is going all out. He is not holding back. He mentions how the Decepticons are moving with a level of cohesiveness and cooperation that he hasn't seen since Megatron led them. Only he was able to get so many Decepticons to work together because he ruled with fear, and those who strayed from his path were slagged. But his reign is over. He suspects whoever leads the Decepticons now has prepared this attack to make their big entrance. Optimus calls the Aerobots to converge on his position. At that moment, the citizen he just saved gets crushed by Menasor, who has Optimus dead to rights, blaster right in his face. Viewfinder says to Optimus, "Our leader has a message for you." He transmits a hologram of Serpentor, who says, "Greetings, Optimus Prime. I am Serpentor, son of Megatron, leader of the Decepticons, and rightful ruler of Cybertron. It is an honor to meet such an esteemed leader as yourself. For many years, the Autobots have resisted our rule. This war has only delayed the inevitable. The Autobots were created as slaves to serve the warrior Decepticon race, to assist in obtaining new sources of energon, so the Decepticons can achieve their destiny of bringing order and harmony to a chaotic universe. Give me the matrix of leadership, or I will destroy the Autobots I have in my custody, along with the human G.I Joes." Optimus replies, "This isn't about order and harmony. It's about cruelty and ego. Let your hostages go free, and cease this endless conflict." Serpentor responds, "War is an ugly thing. Without this war, there'd be no great leaders, and there would be no need for the Matrix or you, Prime." Suddenly, Jetfire comes swooping in, firing on Viewfinder and the other Decepticons. Optimus orders him to stand down. He tells Serpentor he'll surrender if he ceases his attack on the civilians and releases his hostages. Serpentor agrees, and the Decepticons take Optimus into custody. Meanwhile, back on Earth, at the Cobra Terradome, Zartan and the Baroness spy on Cobra Commander. Zartan mentions he's been locked up in the tech room for days with Dr. Cassandra Knox. Dr. Knox isn't overly important, just know she's a character that has been a part of Cobra since forever. Her specialty is robotics, and she and Cobra Commander are working on something related to Serpentor. When Dr. Knox asks Cobra Commander about informing the Baroness and Zartan on what they're working on, Cobra Commander says, "I won't need them, Destro, or Mindbender and his lobster-wearing friends. Soon, I will have the power of a god." Shout out to Mark1684, who said my Cobra Commander voice was on point in the first video. I think it still sucks, but I appreciate it. When it comes to Mindbender, what Cobra Commander is referring to is, remember, at the end of the last series, Mindbender was approached by Cobra Law. So this confirms he has joined them, and we'll get confirmation of that by the end of this series. That's all I'll say. Now, Serpentor goes to visit Hawk. Roadblock tries to attack him, but only breaks his arm in the process. This conversation we're about to witness between Serpentor and Hawk will reveal a flaw Serpentor is slowly realizing he has. He explains to Hawk that he is on the verge of fully conquering Cybertron and gaining the Matrix of Leadership now that he's captured Optimus Prime, accomplishing what his father, Megatron, never could. He's waged his campaign like a true master in the art of war, and yet, all he can think about is how his feelings toward his goals about to be accomplished pale in comparison to the Joes and Autobots' emotional reaction to when he killed Bumblebee. Hawk points out he feels no emotional fulfillment from this war he's waged because he has no investment in it. He's got nothing to fight for, care for, or love. He's essentially a slave to his own programming and Megatron's will, a weapon just being used. Serpentor becomes furious and chokes Hawk, but when he regains his senses, he lets him go. Before he leaves, he apologizes to Hawk and thanks him for his insight, but tells him that when his time comes, he'll make sure his death is a quick and merciful one. Now, what happens next is kind of weird and doesn't make sense, but it's still cool. Standing guard over the Joes are Breakdown and Nautilator. Breakdown mentions how Snake Eyes gives him the creeps because all he does is sit there and stare at them all day. When Breakdown peeks into one of the ammo crates holding Snake Eyes and Scarlet, Snake Eyes hits him with a genjutsu that hypnotizes Breakdown and makes him blast away Nautilator, killing him right on the spot. He then frees Snake Eyes and Scarlet, and Snake Eyes puts him to sleep. Don't get me wrong, this was cool, but this doesn't make sense because this shouldn't have worked. I mean, as we saw in the first video, not even Serpentor, a supercomputer, could obtain control of a Transformer. He was only able to paralyze them. Snake Eyes and Scarlet, using one of the Decepticons' blasters, frees Hawk and Roadblock. Meanwhile, at the border of the Gladiator Zone, Hot Rod gathers and rallies all the remaining Autobots. He tells them he knows they want revenge, but Serpentor and the Decepticons have their fellow Autobots and their leader, Optimus Prime, hostage, so they should wait to strike until the time is right. And when they do, they will give the Decepticons the greatest fight of their lives. At the Decepticons' base, Optimus is brought before Serpentor. What happens next reveals to us that Serpentor, based on his conversation with Hawk earlier and all that he's experienced so far, seeks to become more than a machine, and that he really respects Optimus Prime. He says how strong you must be since the Matrix of Leadership claims you as one of its bearers, especially when it can only be opened by those with great potential and strength, the qualities of a leader found in very few. When the Matrix is opened, it bestows upon its user the sum of all the wisdom of the ages, a pure energy that transforms the bearer into something greater. It transformed you from a simple archivist into an Autobot super warrior. I have led the Decepticons to victory, and they follow me out of respect, not fear. He then asks, am I not worthy of the Matrix? Optimus answers, no, you seek to enslave those who only want freedom, and snuff sparks as if their existence means nothing to you. You're no better than Megatron. Serpentor responds, life, death, spark, soul. I admit these words mean very little to me. Though I am both human and mechanoid, I remain, as Hawk stated, a weapon, not a living thing at all. I will have the Matrix, and with its powers, I will have a spark, a soul. I will be as you are, alive. Give me the Matrix, Prime, and I will release your friends, and this will all be over. Suddenly, Serpentor is alerted over comms that the Autobots and Joe hostages have escaped. While Serpentor was distracted, Optimus managed to escape his chains. He dives towards Serpentor while yelling, "This will all be over now." As that's happening, the Joes manage to free the imprisoned Autobots. Grimlock says, "Good thing you freed us from Locks first. The first Decepticons would have crushed you." Hawk replies, "I'll take that as a compliment." The reason why Grimlock said that is because the Autobots and Joes are staring down a whole group of Decepticons charging toward them. Now on Earth, at Area 52, Mainframe was able to fully repair the gate and get every single G.I Joe member here locked and loaded on vehicles ready to invade Cybertron and reinforce their fellow Joes and the Autobots. Firewall asks Mainframe, "You think it will be enough to rescue the others?" Mainframe answers, "It'll have to be. G.I Joe doesn't leave anyone behind, no matter what." That's the end of the video, and the next one will be the end of this series. In the meantime, check out the Cobra Commander playlist or the Duke playlist. Other than that, have an awesome day, and always remember, every day, haven't said this in a while, to Yo Joe and go beyond.